Start. That's it. Hi, and welcome to It's Not Rocket Science, 5 questions over coffee. I have got my coffee with me here. It is in a mug which I got when I recently returned from Lanzarote, and Paige has got her coffee with her. So I'm delighted today to be speaking with Paige Arnof-Fenn. Paige is a really brilliant marketing connector. She's into connecting, captivating, and converting those customers. So we're going to learn a lot about how she's done that and what she's been doing in her business. And Paige, welcome to It's Not Rocket Science, 5 questions over coffee. Welcome to giving us your spin on the world.
Thank you, Stuart. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Now I know that you are interested in these companies and how they market. So can you tell me the sort of business leaders, sort of business business that you work with? What are the sort of problems that you see that they have that they are maybe not quite converting at the moment?
So the majority of our clients I would describe as mid to emerging market, kind of 2 million to 200 million in revenue, but we also work with companies who are early stage venture-backed startups or even big Fortune 500 companies. And a lot of the common denominators that affect all the organizations today is, they're getting lost in the noise. There's just so much going on, and they want to raise their visibility and their profile so that they can sell more of their products and services faster. And they just feel like, there's just a lot going on and it's hard to get noticed today.
And tell me, Paige, what are the problems that you've noticed that they have with that getting noticed? Because you're right, a lot of scale-up businesses are often struggling to break through the noise, and sometimes it's simple steps they take. What are the sort of things that you find that business owners you're working with, business leaders that you speak to, are struggling with, and what are the mistakes they're making?
So, one universal problem, I think, is a lot of people feel like I'm really not a famous person. I don't run a big company that has global recognition. I'm not Taylor Swift or Serena Williams or Beyonce.
Few of us are, Paige. Few of us are.
But a lot of, small business owners don't think of themselves as brands. They just think, I'm running this small company. It's not that big of a deal. But the truth is, everybody's a brand today. And I think if we learned anything during the pandemic, it's that if you don't exist online, you're really invisible today. And so, the thing that I try and encourage people that reach out is, I really hope that I can convince you that it's important that you do brand yourself and brand your product or service in a way that connects with your customers and clients on an emotional level. A brand is a promise of a consistent experience, and you want to own real estate in your customer's brain so that every time they have a problem that your product or service that can help them solve, that they think of you first. And if you own that real estate in their brain, you're a brand. And if you don't, you're a commodity. And commodities compete on price. And that's a really bad place to be, because if you're competing on price and all you do is lower your price to win more business, that's not a sustainable option.
I think that's a brilliant message, Paige. And I must admit, one of the businesses that I was helping when it came to the pandemic, when they started the pandemic, they had no online presence. They'd never thought of it. And by the end of the pandemic, they had more business coming in online than they had in their physical store. And actually, that was one of the causes of the problems they then started to have in terms of that, as you said, that promise. because what often you find with brands, with marketing, is that people promise one thing but can deliver something very different, and it's that experience of then failing to meet the customer expectation which actually causes so many problems. And that it becomes a business issue very quickly, doesn't it? Because people rarely understand that they have to live up to what they're talking about in their marketing.
Absolutely. And you really need to own a very specific message. You can't stand for everything. You can stand for one or two things. And I think another big mistake people make is they try to be all things to all people. And
all people, yes.
million benefits and features out there. People don't remember the features. What they want to know is how you're going to help them. How are you going to help them solve their problem? So it's really important to hone in on your message, figure out what those really singular things are that really matter to your audience, and reinforce those messages in everything that you do. And don't spread yourself too thin online either. If you try to be on every platform all the time with all the messages, again, it's just going to dilute your brand. People aren't going to remember too much. And if you're not consistent in your message, if you try to be one thing on one platform and another thing on another platform, you're not building trust. And, brands are, you want to have unique, special, and different messages that build trust in what you're saying. And people buy brands they know, like, and trust. So make sure they can find you, that you're talking about yourself in a way that's relevant and compelling, and that it's constantly being reinforced in everything that you do. Those are the brands that succeed. And like you said, if they do it well, their business will explode.
I love what you're saying, Paige, and I must admit I buy into it a lot of the time, because so often I think business owners fail to recognize two things. One of which is, they're reaching out onto 17 different social media platforms, and they've forgotten that on 16 of those social media platforms, their audience is not there, and they are just wasting their time and their effort and their money to reach out to somebody who just doesn't exist. And the other thing that I find so many small businesses do is they forget that they should be selling outcomes. They should be selling the outcome of because that, once again, we go back to that promise. Somebody is not interested in the fact that I often sort of talk to people and say, when you buy a stapler, what is it you're looking for? You're not looking for metal. You're looking for the fact that the paper will hold together. So tell people about the paper being held together and how good it is that it does that, not the fact that it's made out of metal, because that's a feature that nobody can relate to. And so often people forget that it's that outcome that they're really interested in, not the steps to it. That's just the incidentals.
Bingo. What's in it for them? How are you making their lives more convenient, simpler? You're saving them time, you're saving them money. And like you said, if you're just spinning your wheels and you're spending a lot of energy to no end, it's running you ragged and it's not building your business.
Yeah, we're back to that most popular radio station on the in the world, WII FM. What's in it for me?
You got it. Bingo.
Paige, you must have, and I'm going to put your on screen now the website where we can come and find more information about you, which is at mavensandmoguls.com. Is there something at that website that we can all latch onto, which is a really valuable piece of free advice?
Absolutely. I have a lot of free content, articles. I've contributed to a lot of books. I've got videos. I've got podcasts. So if anyone that wants to learn more about branding or marketing, personal branding in a digital world, it's all there. There's no gated. You don't have to give me an email address. There's no fee. And I think there'll be a lot of great content for people who want to learn more.
And anybody who hasn't actually managed to capture that email, that now, and we'll put this into there. We keep a record of all of the great stuff that guests on the show come across. So if you just go to systemize.me forward free hyphen stuff, I'll try and say that again, only this time in English. Systemize.me / free hyphen stuff. If you go to that link anyway, you'll see it in the show notes. You will be able to go straight onto I will have a link straight to Paige's website, and you'll go straight into that in order to be able to get to that. So Paige, we got to know a little bit more about you as a person. So what is it? Was there a book, a program, a life experience, something that brought you to the point here where you became the marketing mogul that you are?
So, I am constantly reading and trying to learn. I think having a growth mindset is so important today. There's so much out there. I like the classics, to be honest with you. I think Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People is one that, if you haven't read it or you haven't read it in a long time, there are a lot of great tips on human nature and great marketing tips as well. But there are a lot of current people, Seth Godin, David Meerman Scott, Guy Kawasaki, people that have been real practitioners in marketing and technology, and they don't use a lot of jargon. They're very straight shooting. They talk about their real life experiences in the trenches, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I always learn if I follow them online or read their books as well.
Good attitude to have a growth mindset. I love it. So we come to the $1 million question, Paige, the one that I know you've been asking yourself. When is he going to ask me that really killer question? And so I'm going to say to you, what's the killer question I should have asked you? And then obviously, once you've told me what that killer question is, you better answer it, because I won't know the answer.
So maybe, is there a quote or something that motivates you, that inspires you, that affects, how you grow and build your business? And I would say there's a quote. It was attributed to Teddy Roosevelt, but I think it's been attributed to a lot of people. It's that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I
love that.
I think it's a great quote. And I think especially in this day of artificial intelligence, where people are kind of throwing a lot of things, to these robotic machinery online, and what comes back is very generic and robotic copy. And I think you have to remember to show your humanity to stand out today. So people are not looking for facts and figures and to be inundated with a lot of data. I think you have to find the stories that are unique, special, and different to you, that make you stand out and get remembered. So, I think if you remember nothing else about our talk today, just remember that showing your humanity, the good, the bad, the ugly, the things that, the lessons you learned that only you can share, your origin story. What is it about you that, how are you going to help people in a way that they're going to think of you first and remember you, because you're a human being and you're not some AI tool that, uses all the same buzzwords and keywords and copy. People aren't going to remember that, but they will remember you if you have a great story.
Do you know, I think that's a really valuable, and I hope a timely piece of advice. I know a lot of people today are using AI to write their blog posts. They're using AI to write their books. I came across somebody the other day who is using ChatGPT to write his book for him. And he's using it in a very clever way with some very interesting prompts. But at the end of the day, when I read something, I need to hear the writer's voice. And that's when you suddenly sit there and go, I cannot imagine. I couldn't imagine, actually, when I read what this person, I won't use his name, but when he sent me what he'd written, I went, this doesn't sound like him. It doesn't sound like the way he talks. And I certainly don't buy into what he's saying because of it. You've actually got to continue to remember that marketing is about that. Once again, that's delivering on that promise that you make, isn't it? And if you fail to deliver because you have one voice in your marketing and another voice in your delivery, you fail to connect with a customer.
Exactly. And you get one chance to make a great first impression, so don't blow it.
I love that. Paige, that is an absolutely brilliant way to stop. We're going to stop there before we ruin it by saying anything which actually isn't nearly as brilliant as what you've just said. So I'm just going to put this up at the moment. Let's just ask you, people, if you are interested in getting I send out normally I send out a weekly newsletter. And it just tells you who's coming up on the podcast in the coming few days. And if you'd like to get on that newsletter so you can get ready to hear some of the great interviews that we have with some brilliant people like Paige, go to systemize.me/subscribe. Simple form. It only asks you for two things: your name and your email address. You'll have nothing more than that. You will only get an email from me about once a week, and that's as simple as that. So please go to systemize.me/subscribe. Paige, thank you so much for coming on. What a brilliant piece of advice. And just remember, if you're using AI to write your marketing materials at the moment, you are missing a huge opportunity to be a brand which people connect with, which people love to trust. And that is missing out, and you're leaving money on the table. So, Paige, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Stuart. I love chatting with you today.
We are